Thank you. All right. Okay, don't get too carried away here. Speaking of birthdays, February 1st, another group I belong to, it's called the Dooley's Pub. Dooley's as in Tom Dooley. And this is a big worldwide fan club of the Kingston Trio. It's out there in cyberspace. Dooley's Pub. And on February 1st, 8 o'clock, we are going to toast our hero, Mr. Bob Shane, who is the last remaining original member of the Kingston Trio. He still owns the group. They tour all over the place, and going to see them in Tonawanda, New York in a couple of months. Anyway, Bob's retired. He's had some heart trouble and he can't tour and whatnot, but he's doing okay. And it will be his 76th birthday on February 1st at 8 o'clock. We're all going to toast him. And this is his signature song. I heard this song when I was not quite 15 years old. It completely blew my mind. I said, I gotta learn how to play so I can play that song. And then I played it more and more and more the same day that I heard it. I said, no, that's not good enough. I gotta be that guy. 50 years has gone by. I ain't gonna be that guy. Nobody's gonna be that guy. I'll tell you the impact this song had when it was on their first album that they ever made. And Boyle Gilmore was the name of a man. He was a very famous record producer at Capitol Records, and he was producing this record, this unheard of, nationally unheard of group, the Kingston Trio. And they included this one song, and Boyle Gilmore heard the song and he said, wow, that is too good for these unknown bunch of young college boys. Because another guy that Boyle Gilmore produced was Frank Sinatra. So he got a hold of Frank Sinatra, he played him a song, he says, you gotta do that song. Frank Sinatra, this is a true story, he said, no way. He said, there's no way that I could equal the performance of that young man doing that song. He says, no way I could do that song as well as that young man did it. And Frank Sinatra refused to record the song. That's quite an honor to an unknown singer to have Frank Sinatra say, no way I can't do as good as he can. However, Frank is gone, you know. Bob, I don't think he's going to show up here tonight. He lives in Phoenix. And he probably would have been here by now. So you're stuck with my version. My own personal favorite song. We'll make this one a lady's choice. Scotch and soda, mud in your eye. Baby, do I feel high for me? Oh my. Do I feel high? Dry martini, jigger of gin. Oh, what a spell you got me in. Oh my. Do I feel high? People won't believe me. They think that I'm just bragging, but I could feel the way I do, still be on the wagon. All I need, one of your smiles, sunshine of your eyes on me. Oh my. Higher than a kite can fly. Give me love and baby I feel high. Thank you. All right, that famous left-handed guy, John Lantini.
Good job. Oh, that's Terry C, everybody. Give him another round of applause. Come on,
All right. My heart skipped a beat and I dropped my rolling pin to the floor as the door of the pot shop slammed closed. Turning quickly, a smile found its way to my lips. There in the doorway stood the man I loved. His black hair with the white streaks so carelessly tousled, dark circles under his familiar dark chocolate brown eyes, and pale skin. He was beautiful, and I couldn't help but think it. Mr. T, you're back. He grunted slightly and raised the corner of his lip. But what would have appeared to anyone else as a sneer was what I figured was his attempt at a smile. His usually tense shoulders were slightly slumped, and his gaze was wary as he sat down. Tired, I figured. He hadn't slept in days, to my knowledge. Of course, I wouldn't know for sure. I walked over to where Toby lay on the floor, curled up with a bottle of gin, as usual. I sighed, pouring a glass and handing it to Mr. Todd. There you are, love. Drink it down. He nodded thanks to me, and I couldn't help noticing the way his hand shook slightly as he brought the glass to his lips. Are you all right, Mr. T? Fine, came his hushed reply. I sighed. The man was a stone wall. If something was wrong with him, he'd never admit it. He closed his eyes for a moment, his face slightly twisting in pain, then reopened them, his expression returning to solemn and guarded. That had caught my attention. Hardly ever did he show emotion, let alone pain. Mr. Todd, I reached out slowly to place my hand on his shoulder when his hand flew out and firmly caught my wrist. Mrs. Lovett, don't lay a hand on me, ever. His voice was still a hushed whisper, but filled with venom, as always. I swallowed and pulled my hand back, placing it in my lap, still feeling the ghost of his hand on my wrist. My heart fluttered when his stone eyes met mine. Guarded as they were, I saw something unusual in them. Standing up, Mr. Todd glanced at me from the corner of his eye. I'm heading upstairs to do some cleaning up. The place is bloody as a slaughterhouse. I nodded and pretended not to care, watching him shiver slightly as he walked outside and up the stairs. About 2 hours later. I was starting to get worried about Mr. Todd. It had been 2 hours and I'd hardly heard a sound. Maybe I'll just pop in on him and make sure he's all right, I muttered to myself. Cleaning my hands off on a towel, I walked out the door and up the stairs. First, I tried peering in the window through the door, but it was far too light out here and far too dark in there to see. I lightly rapped on the door. No answer. Growing more and more worried by the second, I couldn't take it anymore. I grabbed the knob and twisted. A small smile found its way to my face, as well as a sigh of relief. There was Mr. T, barber chair reclined, fast asleep in it. Silly man, I chuckled quietly, walking closer to him. He looked so peaceful in his sleep. He looked like an angel. I reached my hand out and touched his forehead, a bit warmer than usual. My eyebrows pulled together and I glanced down at him worriedly. Mr. T, I said, shaking his shoulder a bit. I knew he'd need rest, but he needed more than gin to drink also, and knowing him, that's all he drank in a day. Mr. Todd, I shook him a bit more. Nothing. Was he breathing? I pulled back and watched him for a moment, my heart still. It seemed like an eternity, but his chest rose and fell. My heart beat freely once more, and I let out a breath I wasn't aware I was holding. After a few more attempts at waking him, I decided to let him sleep, but keep a close eye on him. His hair fell around his face, making his features all the more angelic. He looked paler than usual, but still beautiful nonetheless. The dark circles under his eyes seemed darker as well. Poor thing, I muttered quietly to myself. He was strong. He was a brick wall. Whatever life threw at him, he could handle. But laying here, feverish as he was, he seemed so weak, so helpless, so vulnerable. I drew closer to him, getting a good look at his beautiful face. I tried to stop myself, but his pull was magnetic. Closer and closer I came until my lips were pressed to his forehead. His smell was intoxicating. Mint and gin with just a hint of blood. I moved closer and kissed his flushed cheek. He was sweet and intoxicating. I couldn't stand it anymore. Praying he didn't wake up, I pressed my lips to his. He groaned softly. My eyes widened as he kissed me back. Lucy, he muttered against my lips. His arms wrapped around me. Mine automatically did the same to him. I closed my eyes and breathed in deeply, taking it all in. I wanted this moment to last, but like all good things, it had to end. His arms dropped from around me, and he returned to laying down. Mr. Todd, I whispered as he pulled back to lay down. My heart was pounding in my eardrums. I love you, Mr. T. If you only knew how much I love you. That was the only time I could ever admit this. It was the reason I kept Lucy from him. The only reason he was killing me. But what he didn't know couldn't kill him, or me.
Yeah. Nice job, Megan. Megan Harding, everybody!
Yeah!
All right, and now Jonathan is going to sing some more songs for you folks. Oh, we're having a great night, although we didn't have many participants. That's the word I was looking for. Although we didn't have many participants, the talent level was nice and strong.
Didn't know about it. I
Yeah.
would have brought my guitar.
Yeah, well, shucks, it happens every third Thursday of each month. All right, so